This is radioonfire.com. Yours truly, Dominic K, in here. Thank you for joining me. So the conversation has been going on, a lot of different things going on in the city, but I definitely wanted to take a break and talk about things that's put me in a better mood than some of the things that's been going on. I have a special guest, as you can see. He is an author, and he also knows what's going on in the world as well. So I'm sure we're going to touch on that.
Don't give me too much credit.
Thank you for joining me, Mr. Corey J. Johnson. All right.
What it do? What's up, B More? All the listeners out there. What's good?
I'm glad that you could come through. And
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, I want to talk about, some of the things that you got going on.
Okay.
And let's take it back to the beginning. Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised Baltimore, West Baltimore. Family. When I was younger, we were up in Emerson Village. Then we moved over to Southwest Baltimore, Gilmore Street, home of the Y in the corner. Where it goes down. But I've since been married, have a couple kids, grandchild. So now I'm residing over in East Baltimore, kind of like on the county. So slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. The family life, to slow it down is a good thing. And so did you grow up reading a lot?
I wouldn't say a lot. I definitely read some good books coming up, Roots, Malcolm X, Make Me Want to Holler, some other books here and there. But I wasn't an avid reader. I guess I would equate my reading to my writing. I have to be inspired. Like if it's a book that interests me, then I'll read it. I'm not one of those people that just go to the library and pick up a whole bunch of books. I mean, some of the books that I've read are I like true stories, like biographies and stuff like that. Like I'll read my favorite athlete, Michael Jordan's book, or what else I read? Like Dr. Dre's book about NWA, or Jerry Heller's book about NWA, stuff like that. If it interests me, Malcolm X, that was real big for me. That was probably one of the biggest influences as far as books, so.
You said Dr. Dre and you said Jerry Heller, and I instantly said, okay, he does look like Suge Knight. I know you've heard that before.
No.
Never?
No. Lately I've been hearing the TD Jakes jokes.
Okay.
You
I can see that too.
Jakes.
I can see that
too. Go on my Facebook page. A couple people hit me up with the side-by-side photos. So,
oh gosh,
women, thou art loose. You know what I
mean? And so how when we get into the subject matter of some of your books, I wondered this: how influenced or not influenced were you by the street life here in Baltimore?
I mean, me personally, I grew up in West Baltimore. Like I said, the actual neighborhood I grew up in is Baltimore, Gilmore, Lexington, Mount Street, that area. And if you know anything about the corner, I mean, that was my front doorstep. You know what I mean? So I saw it. I seen it all. I'm not going to sit here and incriminate myself or say that I've dealt or delved in everything. But I mean, when you come from that type of neighborhood, I mean, you kind of see it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever you go out of town, if people know that you're from Baltimore, they ask you that infamous question, which is what?
Is the wire real?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you answer that?
I can remember being in New York some years ago. This was, I guess, maybe the second or third season of The Wire. And I was up in New York, downtown, doing some shopping on Canal Street and shopping district. And I was in a clothing store and the salesperson was, being friendly. Well, where are you from? And I said, Baltimore. And they was like, what? You from the Wire? And they was like, is it real? Like, is it like that? And I'm looking at them cross-eyed like, you from New York, right? Like, Baltimore isn't like worse than New York.
Right.
Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I know what goes down in New York as well. So, I mean, it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to somebody that's probably from like some urban neighborhood or some Midwest state. You know, I'm a Marine, so I've met people from all over the country, all over the world, really. And some people just don't know. That's the reason why stories like The Wire and The Corner, and even my book Courageous, they have potential to be so successful because a lot of people don't know that these things exist. You know, they see CNN, they see, you know, the news, 2020 and all of that. They think that that's a glimpse of something small. You know, the story is capturing isolated incident. You know, some people don't believe that this is the community we live in every single day. Yeah. And that's because they totally oblivious to it. They haven't experienced that. It's a shock to them.
Right.
So
right. And we see so much that I think at times we become desensitized to it.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like you know, just a lot of the street things that happen. I mean, we see it so much.
Right.
I'm sure that you've lost a lot of people on your journey.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, obviously, and close family members and stuff, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But you know, like people you grew up with.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I've witnessed, not like I was standing right there when it happened, but I've seen people get shot in my neighborhood, you know, right in front of my face, stabbings. I've been, you know, jumped and stopped and try to stick up and rob. You know, people try to get me, and, you know, let's take a trip in this alley. You know what time it is. You know what I mean? All that type of stuff.
Right.
You know, all the little tricks. Hey, man, that's a nice watch, man. What time is it? You know what I mean? Or, hey, man, that's some nice sneakers. What size is they? You know, all the games. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right. So what was the path that led you to the armed forces?
Oh, wow. Well, my first book, P.I. Chronicle, talks about my life as a young Black man coming from Baltimore, going into the Marine Corps. And in one of the chapters, I talk about how basically I was smart enough to get good grades in school, but upon graduating from Walbrook, I didn't want to go to school anymore. You know, I didn't want to get up at 7 o'clock and go to school at 8 and stay in school all day. And that wasn't, you know, what I saw in my future. So I had one or two choices. Either I was going to go to college or I was going to go in the military. And my you know, few people in my family, my father, brothers, and others had been in the Marine Corps, in the military. So I decided to, I'm going to try to, you know, military. The recruiter had came up to my school and talked me into, you know, what I thought was a bright future for me in the Marine Corps. And I felt like out of all of the branches of military service, if you're going to do it, you know, you might as well go with the best. And I felt like the Marine Corps was the best. I mean, obviously they wear the best uniform. So
definitely
me coming from Baltimore, you know, that attracted my attention as well. So,
and so how was the experience?
It wasn't what I expected, to say the least. I felt like I had kind of been bamboozled. Don't get me wrong. The military is a place where you can get a great career, great experiences. But I felt like I wasn't prepared for it. My recruiter didn't tell me the things I really needed to do to take advantage of the opportunity that was presented before me.
Right.
And it's a bit of a culture shock. You know, you wake up one day in the Philippines in the middle of a jungle, you know, with snakes and lizards and, you know, monitor lizards. I don't mean like little geckos, like, you know, 5, 4,
real
6
lizards.
foot. Yeah, real lizards. And, you know, one day you might be sitting down on the beach, looking out in the ocean saying, man, how did I get here? You know what I mean? Which way is home? And it's a tough thing to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was, you know, when you were talking about it, I said to myself that the Marines is probably the most difficult one that you could have picked of all of the branches. You know, I've talked to many Marines and you know, people in the Navy and the Army, and you know, so just the Marines kind of sticks out as one of the most challenging.
Absolutely.
And so your book, you know, the PI Chronicles, does that discourage people from joining, or is it you kind of just take your perspective of your experience specifically?
Well, I mean, it's a memoir. It's my story. You know, all of my books are they basically my interpretation. in no way, shape, or form do I try to badmouth military service or Marine Corps. Okay, so if I was to meet a young person today and they said I want to join the military, I would give them advice. I say, if you're going to go in, don't let them take advantage of you. You take advantage of them. Try to go to college. Try to be an officer. So that way you go in with some education and some things that you can use when you come back home. You gain in leadership qualities right out the gate if you're an officer. Because the enlisted people gotta basically work under your command. They gotta at least salute you when they walk in the door. Like, who doesn't want that? But nobody told me that when I went in. So I was a private first class. I was a private when I went in. So I felt like that wasn't. If I could have done it, if I could do it all over again, I would do it, but I would do it differently. I would love to have retired a Marine, but it just wasn't in the cards for me. It wasn't a bad, like the worst experience, but it wasn't for me at the time. There's a lot of racism and prejudice. People don't realize